Assalamu alaikum students, welcome to Radiant Secondary School. In biology, today we are going to discuss our next topic of chapter number 10, that is the mechanism of breathing. As you know about the breathing, that is the physical movements associated with the gaseous exchange is called breathing. The physical movements associated with the gaseous exchange is called breathing. The mechanism of breathing is divided into two distinct phases. The first phase is inspiration or inhalation. The second is expiration or exhalation. So first of all, we will discuss the inspiration. During inspiration, lungs inhales and the ribs muscles contract and are raised. In the same way, the diaphragm also contracts and is lowered. What is diaphragm? Diaphragm is a dome-shaped structure, is a dome-shaped muscular partition that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. So these movements increases the area of thoracic cavity and decreases the pressure on the lungs. What is thoracic cavity? Thoracic cavity is the chest cavity that is supported by the rib cage. So these movements increases the area of thoracic cavity and decreases the pressure on the lungs. As a result, the lungs expand and the air pressure inside the lungs also decreases. So the air rushes into the lungs to equalize the pressure on both sides. The second is expiration or exhalation. After the gaseous exchange into the lungs, the impure air expelled out on exhalation. In this step, the ribs muscles relax and come back to its original position. And the diaphragm also relax and get its dome shape. So these movements reduces the area of the thoracic cavity and they also increases the pressure on the lungs. And in this step, the lungs contract and the air expelled out from the lungs. Now look at the diagram. This diagram is showing the phases of breathing. The first is inhalation. Look at this. The air is entering from the outside into the lungs. In this way, the ribs muscles will contract and the ribs are raised and the diaphragm moves downward. In exhalation, the air is expelled out from the lungs, the ribs muscles will relax and the ribs come back to its original position and the diaphragm will move upward to get its dome shape. These breathing movements are involuntary actions, and you know about the involuntary actions. You have studied the involuntary actions in your previous classes, that involuntary actions are those actions which are done without our will. So we can control the rate of breathing but not for the long time. The breathing rate in human being in normal circumstances is 16 to 20 times per minute when at rest. But during exercise it increases up to 30 to 40 times per minute. This breathing rate is controlled by the respiratory center, which is present in the brain. And this respiratory center is sensitive to the concentration of carbon dioxide in the blood. So how this breathing rate is controlled by the respiratory center? When we do exercise or hard job, our muscle cells carry out the cellular respiration at the greater rate. And this cellular respiration releases the more amount of carbon dioxide into the blood. This more amount of carbon dioxide stimulates the respiratory center. After stimulation, this respiratory center send messages to the diaphragm and ribs muscles to increase the rate of breathing so that the more amount of carbon dioxide can be removed out from the body. So in this way, the breathing rate is controlled by the respiratory center. So that's it for today. Thank you, students.